You spoke about speculation, and you must have noticed the fact that the government has banned futures with respect to a certain select list of items. And there has been criticism of that move, that the government is intervening in the markets with an eye on controlling prices. What's your own take as the FICCI president on such moves?
You know, we have to look at what is the primary role of the government. They have to look after the welfare of the people. And in a country like India, where the average income is just about $2,000 per capita, and that is also highly skewed, we have a large section of the population which is living on very meager income. So the government has to look after their interests. And if the government looks at there is a risk of inflation going up further, or someone trying to make hay when it is not warranted, then a level of government intervention, I believe, would be the right thing to be done.
Okay. Sanjeev, this is also a government who has come up with a major semiconductor manufacturing initiative in terms of a policy that's been announced, and as we see it getting implemented, it should ultimately, in a few years from now, address one very critical shortage, which is resulting in Indian consumers having long waiting times for various products, including primarily automobiles. How do you see the semiconductor policy? Is it a step, even if it's come a few decades late than it should have?
Yeah. Siddharth, the way I look at it is, there are some categories or industries in a country where you have got a natural advantage. And there would be some categories or industries which are very critical for the country, where you have to create a natural an advantage, a competitive advantage. Whether it is the PLI scheme, which enables you to get scale and then reduce your cost, or the government semiconductor policy, I think it's in the right direction. Because scale also allows you to bring down cost, very importantly. And it will be a short supply if there is more of domestic production. So India will have to compete on cost, on quality, on service, but also very importantly, R&D and innovations. And that is a subject which is also very dear to my heart, that how do we in a country up the game when it comes to R&D and innovations.
Explain to our viewers, Sanjeev, your own reading of the fintech revolution. Look at the volume of payments, look at the number of companies who are trying to do various innovative things, and it's all built on a core where there is a far decent bandwidth network than used to be the case 10, 15, 20 years ago. Where is fintech headed in terms of the future?
Oh, absolutely. That's a very good question. And really this boils down to, Siddharth, you know, the three areas where I believe India needs to really up the game on innovations and R&D is one is the area of biotech, which is a confluence of biology and technology. The second is in green tech, where India, we have got growth aspirations, but we have to manage that by reducing environment footprints. So this whole area of solar, hydrogen, carbon capture, carbon storage, those are the areas which are going to be big play in the future. And we have to be leading edge in it. And the third one is, of course, DigiTech. And FinTech is part of it. And thanks to the infrastructure that has been laid down, and I believe with the advent of 5G, this will become even more powerful. And we have now got the infrastructure where we should bring in a technology prowess, not just in fintech, but in areas like healthcare, in education, across the value chain of businesses. And that would make such a big difference to the country. You know, when we got our independence, or really the first and the second industrial revolution happened before we got our independence, and we had missed the bus. When the third industrial revolution happened, we were still a very poor country. We were just coming out of the control regime era. But this is an opportunity for us where Industry 4.0, we can really maximize the gains that would be coming from this revolution, and it could help us leapfrog. But the important bit to understand here, whether it is fintech or it is any other digitech, is that we should have the public R&D, the academia, the corporations, the private corporations and the startups come together and collaborate if we have to make a difference. Yeah? Whether you look
Right.
at MIT Media Lab, which
Right.
was basically set up by academia and private corporations, or the park in Taiwan,
Right.
where they made such a big difference with semiconductors. That's the kind of thing we will have to do to up the game.
My final question, Sanjeev, and there's so much to discuss, but I just want your comments on the Bitcoin regulation. We have seen a bit of a back and forth between the RBI and the policy makers, and in the interim since 2019, hundreds and thousands of youth have entered and are investing in cryptocurrencies without a regulatory framework, without any KYC. What would you tell the RBI and the government as far as a policy and regulation on this front is concerned?
You know, this is again an area where a lot of people don't have a deep understanding of the subject. And I think this is a time where the government and the Reserve Bank have to step in the interest of the population at large, and not for just a select group of people. And I would again I'm pleased that the government and the Reserve Bank are cognizant of the issue, and they should hopefully come out with a very clear point of view of what would be in the interest of the public at large.
Absolutely, Sanjeev, and I think that's going to be a very critical decision as far as looking at the innovation and capabilities of blockchain versus some other aspects of the entire crypto boom that we have seen. Sanjeev Mehta, thank you very much for your time with us here today. There's so much more to discuss, but we'll do that some other time. All the very best for your stint leading industry chamber, FICCI. Thank you very much for your time with us today.